Hello class, today we're going to be going over the first lesson in chapter 2, lesson 2.1, how to connect ratios, rates, and unit rates. So you're probably starting by wondering, what is a ratio, a rate, or a unit rate? And we got some definitions for us right here, so let's make sure we get these down in our notes. So a rate is a measure, frequency, or quantity that is measured against another quantity. A ratio is a relationship between two amounts found by dividing one amount by another. And finally, the unit rate is similar to the rate, except now we only measure against one unit. So for example, if there's 10 cars drive by and if there's 10 cars driving by every 2 hours, then the unit rate would be 5 cars per hour. So let's think about what we're asking for unit rate here. If we have a bunny rabbit and this bunny rabbit is jumping 5 times at an equal distance each time, and this total distance right here would be 25 feet, then to find the unit rate, we want to find out what just one of these jumps is right here, just one. So how would we do that? Well, we have 25 feet right here, so there's 25 total feet, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jumps. So we'll do a 25 divided by 5, and then 25 divided by 5 is obviously 5 feet. So the unit rate right here would be 5 feet per jump. All right, now let's get into some examples here. Let's first talk about our key concept. So during this 2.1 and really for the rest of chapter 2, we're going to be using ratios and rates to describe the relationship between two quantities. And then finally, we're going to be finding equivalent ratios and unit rates to solve multi-step problems. So we're going to get more into that as we go along through this chapter here, but let's get started. All right, so this first example here, we have a word problem with us. So Brian agrees to watch his neighbor dog for 7 days. His neighbor provided a 128-ounce bag of dog food. Knowing Buster eats 20.5 ounces in 2 days and Roxy eats 22.5 ounces in 3 days, does Brian have enough food to feed the dogs? All right, so we got a couple of things here. First off, we got Buster, which is one of the dogs. Oops, let's do this in blue. We have Buster, which is one of the dogs here, and he's eating 25 ounces, and that's specifically in 2 days. And Roxy's over here eating 22.5 ounces in 3 days. So the best thing we could do here is find out how much Buster and Roxy eat in 1 day. And what I mean by that is we're going to find out the unit rate of how much Buster eats and the unit rate of how much Roxy eats. So let's start off with Buster here. So Buster eats 20.5 ounces over 2 days. So we're going to do a 20.5 divided by 2. Now 22.5 is going to be a 10.25. And this is Buster's food intake per day. Now next we want to find out for Roxy. So Roxy eats 22.5 ounces in 3 days. So we'll do a 22.5 divided by 3. I don't know that one off the top of my head, so I'm going to grab my calculator real quick. All right, that one would give us 3. 22.5 divided by 3 is 7.5. And this is Roxy's food per day. All right, so you may be asking yourself at this point, well, how does this help us find out if they're going to last for 7 days? What we could do is we can multiply both these numbers by 7 to find out how much Buster eats in 7 days and how much Roxy eats in 7 days. All right, so let's do that in another color here. So 10.25 times 7, and we want to add to that 7.5 times 7, because we want to find out the total amount of food both of these dogs here are eating up. So 10.25 times 7 is 71.75. And we're going to be adding to that 7.5 times 7, which is 52.5. And then when we add those together, we will get 124.25, and then that is indeed less than that is indeed less than the 128 right here. So Brian did indeed give us enough food to watch his neighbor's dogs. All right, so let's break down what we did there. We started off by finding our unit rate of what Buster ate. That's what we got right here. We got it by doing 20.5 divided by 2. And then we found our unit rate of what Roxy ate, and we got it by doing 22.5 divided by 3, because that's the amount of times they ate that. Then we multiplied both of these numbers by 7 to find out how much food they would eat for 7 days. That's the length of us watching the dogs. Added those two numbers together and find out that it was lower than the initial food total we got here. So we definitely made the right decisions. All right, let's look at another example here. So for our next one, we're going to assume that there are two rabbits who are each jumping a certain distance. Rabbit 1 jumps 8 meters in 3 jumps, and Rabbit 2 jumps 12 meters in 5 jumps. Which rabbit has a higher unit rate per jump? All right, I think we should draw this one out here so we can get a little bit of a better visual. So Rabbit 1 jumps 8 meters in 3 jumps. 1, 2, 3, and this is lasting 8 meters. And again, we're assuming that each jump is the same amount. All right, so blue is Rabbit 1, and we will do red for Rabbit 2. So Rabbit 2 is jumping 12 meters in 5 jumps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow, excuse my jumps there. Those are terrible. Let's just retry some of that. 3, 4, 5. All right, and they are jumping 12 meters. Obviously, this is not to scale. This red one should be much longer here. But what we want to do is we want to find out which one of these small jumps here is longer. So the way we can do that is for Rabbit 1, there's 3 jumps and they covered 8 meters. So we need to do an 8 divided by 3. And for our next one here, we have 12 meters and 5 jumps. So we'll do a 12 divided by 5. All right, so 8 divided by 3 will give us a number of 2.6 continuing, 2.6 continuing. And 12 divided by 5 will give us 2.4. All right, so now we want to ask ourselves which rabbit had a higher unit rate per jump. And it's actually going to be Rabbit 1 right here. Rabbit 1 had a higher unit rate per jump. The reason is because this number right here is larger. And if we divided the 8 by 3, that is larger than 12 divided by 5. All right, let's go on to our last example we have right here. A package of 5 insulated gloves costs $29.45. What is the cost of a single pair of gloves? Hopefully we're getting all the hang of this by here. So we have 5 pairs of gloves, and it costs $29.45 total. So we want to find out how much one costs. What we could do is we could do 29.45 divided by 5. And we'll find out what we get here. It should be right around 6. 29.45 divided by 5 is equal to 5.89. So that means a single pair of gloves cost $5.89. All right, let's go into our conclusion here. So today we talked about ratios. And remember, a ratio is just a comparison between two numbers, where it specifically looks like a fraction where one number is on top of the other. A rate, that's if we go back to our definition here, a rate is a measure of frequency that is measured against another quantity. And then finally, the unit rate is very similar to the rate, except now we only measure against one unit. Remember, that's what we were working with today, is finding unit rates, and it's what we're going to be working with tomorrow in class when we have the classwork together. Alrighty, everybody, that was it for me today. Hopefully you guys are going to do great on these video notes. I will see you all in class tomorrow. Bye-bye, team.